Amen. Thank you, Miss Matthews. That's Talicia Matthews, and she's one of our facilitators from the Palmer's Cross vicinity. I'll say that, the area around it. So very quickly, let me just indicate who is online. So you have myself, Eureka Douglas, and General Manager for the Clarendon Parish Development Committee. We have Sherry Brown, I believe Ambassador, social worker, and she'll be doing this presentation. We have Sonia Morgan, Administrator with the Office of the Custos, Trina Gilfillian, Administrator with the Clarendon PDC. Miss Coleman, as I mentioned earlier, she is one of the trainers right now assigned to the Effortville community. Marianne Williams, she is a facilitator in the Effortville community. And Reverend Sterling, Nagy Sterling, who is assigned to the Mapen parents. Natoya Cole, facilitator, assigned to Mapen, the Mapen parents. Samantha Akas, she's assigned to Palmer's Cross for the time being. I just want to quickly say that one of the things that we need to really do is to see how we can get a little bit more interest from the Palmer's Cross community. The attendance has been poor, I must say, and so we have to beef up the attendance. One of the things is that in terms of USAID and positive pathways, everything is evidence-based. And if we are not able to pump those numbers up, we have to think of how we can, we need to go back to the drawing board, maybe pause the training a little and go and see how well we can get persons to participate. But that is something that we really have to discuss going forward. So Sherry, if you will allow me, Samantha, yes.
So good evening, everyone. Ms. Douglas, I hear your concern, and I am hopeful that come this Saturday morning, we'll have a great turnout.
Let's just remain positive that it will be good.
We had PTA yesterday, and it was mentioned in PTA, and a whole lot of parents were enthused about it, wanted to know what it's all about. So yes. I'm hopeful that we'll have a good turnout.
Excellent. Pity you didn't tell me, because then I could have sent up some flyers. We had them printed yesterday. I could have sent up some flyers to you.
Okay.
Right. All right. So that's good news, Samantha. Thank you so very much. And so I'm looking forward to seeing those numbers going up for Palmer's Cross. But as was said earlier, we have some tragic news, and for the facilitators and the trainer at Effortville, we need to just pause a bit, and Sherry, just give us a little time to discuss this a little.
Sure.
There is a parent. Her name is Cassandra Gail Peterkin. She was otherwise called Sophia. I posted something in a group this morning, and then somebody said we lost a family member, and I'm like, who is this person? Because they just mentioned her, her nickname. And then we realized that this parent, she is a grandmother as well. We lost her. I think the very first training that we had, it's a little concerning, because the very first training that was held by the PDC, she was at the LASCO trainings as well, but the very first one, she fell. She had a seizure, and she actually fell, and we really don't know what happened after that. We didn't see her. And so we know that this is a tragic loss, and we really have to, this is part of what the parent resilience is about. Building trust, building support for the community, amongst the community members and the citizens, so that persons can have somebody to lean on. And that is what we want in terms of the parent club. So though it is tragic news, it's an excellent platform for us to kind of develop that kind of bonding that we need amongst our parents, especially in this Effortville area. So we can use this as an opportunity to to take them through the grieving process, but also show them the importance of why it is, you know, necessary for us to come together and really support each other in times like this, and help the family to grieve and help ourselves to get over something like this. So that said, I don't know, Ms. Coleman, do you have anything that you want to say? Is there any approach that you want to take for the next session? And I'm pretty sure that we can push back some of the topics just to deal with the issue.
Most definitely, Ms. Douglas, because I wouldn't want to start just going there and start the training. I think I'll have to go through the grieving process with them and try to get them to a place where, you know, we have some understanding that death, you know, is promised. It is not, say, some go before some, you know, and think, but it's a road that all of us will have to travel and all of that. But just to encourage them that, I mean, as parents in a community, they need to rally around each other and to support the family, you know, as best as possible. So at the beginning of the session, definitely I will be speaking with them in terms of grief counseling.
Right. And that was my thought, you know, that we needed to push back the topics a little, just to take time to deal with it's part of, and we didn't finish self-awareness last time.
No, we didn't.
But no. It's an opportunity to take time to look at ourselves and look at how we manage self. We don't know exactly what happened. I haven't gotten a full report yet. But it's an opportunity for us to just use that and pause and just take our time and allow persons, as you say, go through the grieving process. So I'm glad that you are in sync. We are in sync in terms of what we're thinking. And yeah.
I'm also happy that we did not get to finish that portion of the session, because it's very important now, and I think it will highlight some of the things that I would really like to come out due to this incident.
Exactly. So we can just take our time. I'm not rushing you. We don't need to take our time and just get a chance, pay tribute to this lady who she has been at every session except the one last week. And just pay tribute and just make sure that we honor her memory and allow persons to grieve. So yeah, so we can absolutely dedicate that session to Cassandra.
Most definitely.
I don't know if Reverend Sterling, do you have anything that you want to add as a senior person in the group here?
Hello?
Yes, sir. You're breaking up a bit, but continue. Let's hear how it goes.
I'm driving.
Okay. All right. The reception is a little bad. Yeah. Might be. All right, so Rev, we don't be getting
I'm driving, so the connection might be approach that day is. Well, let me type it.
Type it in chat. All right, thank you. Make sure you're paying attention to the driving, you know. Mary Ann, as the facilitator up in Effortville, do you have anything that you want to share or any additional information?
Good evening.
Can get that information and kind of create a platform where we can have those sessions on Saturday.
Yes, yes.
All right. Does anyone else have anything to add before we move on from? Let me just check the chat to see if Reverend Sterling was able to type anything. No, he has not. Does anyone else have anything to add to this discussion? Okay. All right. So that being said, let us see if we can dive right into the presentation by Miss Brown, if there are no other comments regarding the situation in Effortville. All right, since there are no other comments, Sherry, over to you, your co-host, so you can go ahead and share your presentation.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Douglas. Good evening, everyone. Let me first offer my sincere condolences to you on the passing of this parent, and really hope that everyone will just rally together and support the family and support the other parents who have been part of the group that she's a part of, as well as the facilitator, Marianne, since she's so close to the person and the families. So my sincere condolences. And I think that having that grief session is a wonderful idea to start off, and just to allow persons to grieve and to see where they're at and to share any concerns that they may have. And if there is further support that is needed, then, you know, that support can be given. The content that we've been going through over the last week, I believe, should also be helpful in terms of the support groups and just being able to assist persons who are going through difficult and trying times, as some of these same issues will come about when you convene your support groups or your clubs and as you go through working with the parents. Feel free to stop me at any time. Feel free also to type in the chat. I'm going to ask Ms. Douglas. Like last week, Ms. Douglas, I'm going to ask you to just check the chat. If anyone has raised their hands, just to alert me so that we can stop and we can engage persons. Okay? If everyone is okay, you can just give me a thumbs up for us to continue.
Please do participate so that we can know that you're engaged. Thank you. I have 3 thumbs up. Thank you. All right.
All right. Great, thanks. Just to recap a little, from last week, we had our objectives to gain an understanding of support group formation and execution, to understand the roles and functions of support group facilitators and members, and to create a model for parenting support groups, which, based on the conversations, I believe you'll be using the support group model to form your parent clubs. We looked at the types of groups so that persons can have an appreciation of groups in general, and the fact that the different characteristics of different groups can become a part of your support group features, such as the psychoeducational, therapy, task groups. I'm going to just read the definition we had for support group. Also referred to as self-help groups are groups of people who gather to share common problems and experiences associated with a particular problem, condition, illness, or personal circumstance. And for the most part, the primary purpose of these groups that will be convened is around the topic of parenting. We looked also at group dynamics, which takes in all the processes by which people interact and behave in the group environment. So all the different things that will impact the social status, persons, situations, the different contexts from which they come that will impact the group. We looked at the group process, the different stages: forming, storming, norming, and performing. And I believe there was a video that we looked at too in terms of explaining the group process. We looked at some key considerations in forming your group, such as identifying a facilitator, meeting times and location, the frequency of meetings, the length of meetings, group lifespan, and whether your group will be open or closed. We also looked at some of the functions of support groups. What are the reasons for having these support groups. What will they provide? What function? What advantage will support groups provide for your parents? We looked at some features of a support group, and that takes us now to the roles and functions within the group. So is there anything that anyone wants me to maybe go back on just for a minute or so based on the areas that I pointed out? Or are we okay to continue? You can give me your thumbs up if we're okay to continue.
Is everybody okay? We need to know. Open your mics or give us a thumbs up. All right, so from Telicia and Marianne, she says yes, they have given us their thumbs up.
All right, great, great. And feel free as we go along, type in the chat, and at the end we will look to see if there's anything that persons want us to just go back over. For the roles and functions within the group, I've highlighted 3 roles: facilitator, leader, and we have group members. I believe these are the 3 key roles that we will identify or need to identify. And so now to look at the functions that each of these persons or each of these roles will perform. For the facilitator and the leader, if it is that your group model will also have a facilitator and a leader, then some of the responsibilities will be very similar. Some of these responsibilities or functions include opening and closing the meetings. So the facilitator and or leader can open and close the meetings, which means they convene, they start off, and they will also close off the meeting. Creates the atmosphere for the discussion, whether it is an icebreaker that you're going to use, whether it is that you are going to start off with sharing a particular experience from you as the facilitator or the leader, but you create that atmosphere or the environment for the discussion. How is it that you want it to go? What sort of feeling do you want the room to have? Is it one of doom and gloom and feeling somber, or one of excitement and motivation and wanting people to get, actively involved in what is to come? The facilitator and or leader also encourages active listening among members. In support groups, we have to learn to listen to each other. The facilitator or leader demonstrates or should demonstrate active listening. We're going to touch on some little areas of active listening afterwards, and so that the members can model this particular behavior. Allows for the support of everyone in the group. That's another responsibility of the facilitator and the leader. Should be able to motivate persons, to encourage persons to be actively supportive of each other. So for example, if a member is grieving, the facilitator and or leader can share this information with the group, allowing persons to know what's happening with the individual, if it is that the individual so desires, so that that support can be given in whatever form, whatever way that is acceptable, and whatever form or way that is needed. The facilitator or leader is also responsible to engage all members. You will realize in some groups that not some groups, all groups, you will have persons with different personalities. You will have persons who will talk a lot. You will have some who will not say anything at all, the shy persons. You will have those who are very philosophical and who are very aware and wanting to share experiences and share information constantly. And so it is your responsibility as the facilitator or leader of the group to engage not only the talkative persons, but to engage those persons who are also shy, those persons who may not feel as confident in sharing their experiences. You have to find different ways of bringing them around and allowing them to come out of their shells. You are also responsible for helping with problem solving, whether it is while the group is ongoing or outside of the group, problems will arise. It is key that you assist with the problem solving. We spoke about group dynamics, and you will have persons who have different interpersonal conflicts, issues happening within the group or within among persons within the group. And so you may have to help with solving that interpersonal conflict, or you may have just differences of opinions or differences in the ways that we do things. And so you are also key in helping to move from a point of where the conflict is to solving or to ensuring that things move smoothly. Displays empathy, confidentiality, and non-judgmental attitude. I want to emphasize that when we are working with support groups, we have to try to put ourselves in the situation of the individuals within our groups. We have to support them in a way that they understand that we may not be going through what they are going through, but we are trying to help them, we are trying to work with them, and in so doing, we're displaying that empathy, that level of empathy. There is also confidentiality, meaning whatever happens in the group stays in the group. Confidentiality or breaches of confidentiality is one of the reasons persons will leave group spaces or gatherings. The support group is supposed to be a safe space where people will feel that they can come and share their experiences for the benefit of each other, for the benefit of the other person, and because they want to also relieve themselves of the burdens that they are facing, and not feel that they're going to go outside of the group space and hear that, oh, you know that John was having challenges with his children, where one of John's child hurt somebody yesterday or got into a fight, or something very personal that happened in the home that John shared in the group because he felt that it was a safe space. It came outside of the group. As the facilitator or leader, it is your responsibility to lead from in front and to demonstrate and maintain confidentiality so that your members can also understand that this is something that's an important tenet of the group and is something that should be maintained at all costs. Non-judgmental attitude, where we are not judging or we're not belittling each other in the group. We have to allow everyone to feel special, to feel comfortable, and to feel that they really belong in this space. It's key too to observe verbal and non-verbal displays and address the issues. Some individuals will speak verbally. Some persons won't say anything at all. And it's based on how they sit, how their face may look, that you realize that something is really happening with this person. You may not necessarily engage them in the wider group initially, but sometimes you can take them outside of the group space after the meeting to say, you know, I noticed that you weren't very talkative in the meeting today. I noticed that you looked very far away. You weren't paying attention. What's happening? Is there something that you want to speak to me about? Or we have the trainers on. Is there something that I can refer to the counselor or to one of the trainers who can further engage you on? So it's important to observe the verbal and non-verbal and address the issues surrounding those. Engage a network of external support resources. As a facilitator, you may be more actively engaged with the trainers, with the sponsors, with external persons who may be able to offer other support that the group members will indicate over time. Could mean that you work at a corporate entity and you're having a particular event that you want some support from, and you are able to maintain this, engage this network, or you want to your group members to learn a particular skill and you know somebody from heart who can come in and who can train persons. These are some external networks that you can tap into in order to support your group members. It's key to establish a structure. What will the group look like? How is it that, what's the frame of the group? What happens from day to day or from meeting to meeting, even though things may change. I want to point out though that the last three, observe verbal and nonverbal displays and address issues, engage a network of external support resources, and establishing a structure are very important to the facilitator for the most part. Where the leader, the group leader, may not necessarily be responsible for these three, it's very important that you as the facilitator be very mindful of these. All the others that I've mentioned, the leader who can come from the group, where persons after maybe a couple meetings, they decide that we want this person to be our leader, and the leader emerges from the group by either a democratic process or you as the facilitator and the trainers deciding who is the group leader, whichever way you decide. The leader will further help just to ensure that the group runs smoothly, checking in with persons, helping with any administrative duties or just phone calls and checking up, or if you have a group, a WhatsApp group that you want to send out information, the group leader can take on some of these responsibilities. And as I mentioned, establishing a structure, you as a facilitator will work with the trainers and Ms. Douglas and her team in order to establish what structure, and in this structure that you establish, how the group leader will function within the whole scheme of things. Are we all okay so far?
Yes, good.
Okay,
Yes.
great. So now we look further at the member responsibilities, moving away from from you as our facilitator and our group leader, who is also a member of the group, by the way, but the general membership of the group. What are their responsibilities? We want that the members be aware that they have to participate in the group activities. So you don't want persons, even though they are shy, to come week after week after week and not participate. We want them to be engaged, even if it is sharing a one sentence and moving from that one sentence over the life of the group to sharing 3 sentences or a whole experience that they may have. We want members to be knowledgeable that they have to participate in the group activities. We want members to know that it's their responsibility to listen to each other, not just for one person to speak, but to ensure that we listen to, if it's 5, 6, 7 persons in the group, everyone has an opportunity to speak and an opportunity to listen. Maintain confidentiality, the same thing we discussed with the group leader and facilitator. We want that the members model this maintenance of confidentiality, right? Where whatever happens stays in the group. Demonstrating respect for yourself, for themselves, and respect also for others. This also can be a topic that you can, if you are thinking far ahead and you're thinking about topics or the psycho-educational aspect that you want to bring to your support groups, demonstrating respect for self and others can be a topic that you can engage someone to come in and to speak on, so that your members can show this responsibility. We also want for persons to give and accept feedback. Many times we want to give, but we don't want to accept. So we want that it's said, that it's encouraged by you as facilitators and also the leaders to give and for members to give feedback on issues, their opinions, and also to accept feedback when it is given either by leaders, facilitators, trainers, or other members of the group. Now we move on to conducting the actual group meeting. And these are just some pointers for maybe an initial meeting. And even though they are parts of the initial meeting, can go on for further meetings or for future meetings. We begin with introductions. That's a given. The leader facilitator. In this case, I'm assuming you will have the facilitators firstly before you have even leaders. Will introduce yourself and encourage others to continue. I want to encourage you facilitators to start thinking out of the box from now as to creative ideas, creative ways that you can do your introductions, and creative ways that you want to encourage your members to introduce themselves. We want to create an atmosphere in the groups that will encourage people to want to keep coming every week and to feel that sense of belonging even from the very first meeting. Sometimes the initial stages set the tone for the future, and you know, will determine how your group will be over time. All right. So we also want to ensure that all members are aware of the purpose of the group. So the purpose should have already been established by the convener. The purpose, which is support for parents, and ensure that all members know that this is a meeting for all parents, and that the aim of the meeting is to support parents and to encourage parents to do better, to learn and to be the best parents that they can be. Prepare ahead for the meetings, but be prepared to exercise flexibility. This is something that I want you to take for the initial meeting and for all your future meetings. Prepare ahead for the meetings. So whether you're going to have your outline in terms of activities that you're coming with, it's good to have an idea of what you want to achieve for that particular meeting. But also be aware that things can happen. You might show up and somebody, for example, lost a family member, somebody had a particular crisis, their child has run away, or their child is experiencing some challenges, and of course the parent will experience those challenges as a result. And you have to just change from what you plan and demonstrate some amount of flexibility in dealing with the matter. Find creative ways of engaging the members, especially in the initial meeting. Identify individual goals of the members. Yes, there is an overarching or a huge goal that we want to achieve, which is ensuring better parenting, parents learn parenting skills, whatever it is that you decide on. But each person who comes to your group will have an individual goal. Why is it that they came? I believe this is key. This is very important that you have each person identify the goals that they have. What is it that they want to achieve as they continue to come? Allow participants to give their feedback on the purpose of the group and what they hope to achieve. So don't just come with the purpose and say, oh, this is what we want to achieve, and not allow persons to give their feedback and their opinions. You may get some feedback that you never thought about initially when you were convening, but the feedback will help in terms of even framing the activities that will be ongoing in the group. This will assist the facilitator, yes, in planning future sessions, get insight into the support group members and their hopes for the support group. We discussed confidentiality already. We hope that you will discuss confidentiality in the initial stages of the meeting. So spend time to, 1, define what it is, explain why it is important to the group. 3, the likely impacts of confidentiality breaches. So what can happen if there is a breach in confidentiality? And 4, the repercussions for breach of confidentiality. So what is it that will happen if it is observed, if it is common knowledge that persons breach confidentiality? What will happen for each group member? Also, to discuss the rights. Members should be aware of their rights as individuals, like dignity, and values like dignity, fairness, equality, respect, and independence. When people are aware that they possess all these, then it gives them a sense that I belong and I'm going to expect. So I'm going to expect to be treated fairly. I'm going to expect to be treated equal. I'm going to expect respect, and so demonstrate respect. Also, their responsibilities. With rights come responsibilities. What are my responsibilities? And we discussed some of those in terms of the member responsibilities earlier. And finally, adherence to established rules and procedures. Whatever rules are determined within the group, whatever procedures are outlined, and ensure that you encourage the group members to want to adhere to these established rules and procedures. We're going to move on to key features of the group. Any questions, any comments, anything before we go on to key features? No?
Are they still there?
I'm wondering, are persons still listening? Are you hearing me?
Yeah, we're still
Yes, we
listening.
are.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
All right, so now we move on to some key features of support groups or of groups. Vision and mission, the group charter, leader selection, and open or closed. I'm seeing that somebody indicated something in the chat. Oh, Samantha says still here. All right. We're going to quickly go through each of these. We start off with the group charter. The group charter, I like to define it as a roadmap for the group to understand the goals and expectations of the group. It includes your mission and your vision, the group purpose, and the rules and responsibilities. One way that I've done group charters over the years is to use simple tools like cartridge paper, a marker, or flip charts. Now we're in the age of technology, you can also be creative with it. So when you convene your group and you decide what your vision and your mission is, what your group purpose is, and what the rules and responsibilities are, you can add this to your flip chart or your cartridge paper. You can bring that to each group meeting, and you can even have it posted at a convenient area or section of the room that you're meeting in, so persons can constantly be reminded of this roadmap that's leading your group. It's important that in terms of the rules and responsibilities, one of the best ways to do it is to allow the group members to decide on these rules and to decide on the responsibilities that are in alignment with these rules. Mission statement is a declaration of an organization's purpose, and it should explain who you are and why you exist. So looking now at the group context, I want us to apply the same thing, where your mission statement is a declaration of your group's purpose, and it should explain who you are and why it is that you exist. So what's the purpose of your group? What does your group hope to accomplish? Why does your group exist? An example I have here is from Tesla, the car company, to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. Tesla uses or makes mostly electric cars. So their vision is to enable, their mission, sorry, is to enable sustainable energy, and that's part of their mission. Now, your vision is your statement of where your group is heading, sort of being futuristic. And for Tesla, it's to create the most compelling car company of the 21st century by driving the world's transition to electric vehicles. That's their vision. So within the 21st century, as time goes by, Tesla hopes that practically everyone will be driving an electric car. And that's where they feel that and they believe that they are heading. So try to think of where your group is heading, what it is that will happen in another few months, another year. I have a little quiz here, just a short quiz. You can use the chat, and I'm going to ask Ms. Douglas to assist me with this. The vision and mission statement of Amazon. I want you to tell me which is the vision and which is the mission statement. So utilize the chat and just say A, mission, vision, B, mission, vision, whichever it is. All right. So Amazon, A, to be Earth's most customer-centric company where customers can find and discover anything they might want to buy online. B, we strive to offer our customers the lowest possible prices, the best available selection, and the utmost convenience. Which is the mission? Which is the vision? Giving you a couple seconds to type that in the chat. Anything from anyone?
Not yet. For Claudia, she says A is the vision and B is the mission.
Thanks, Claudia. Anyone else wants to try it out?
Marianne says B is the vision, is the mission, and A is the vision. Marshall says A is the vision and B is the mission.
All right. So
Wendy says, sorry, there's another one. Wendy says A is the vision and B is the mission. Natoya says B is the mission and A is the vision. Talicia, so everybody's responding. Talicia says A is the vision and B is the mission. All right, yes. So those are the responses.
All right, thank you for participating. So to those who said that A is the vision, you're correct. To be Earth's most customer-centric company, it's their futuristic statement. And B is the mission. We strive to offer our customers the lowest possible prices. So this is who they are and their purpose, the best available selection and the utmost convenience. So thank you so much for that. I have one more, so please continue to participate. This is now IKEA. And IKEA says, 1, A, offer a wide range of well-designed functional home furnishing products at prices so low that as many people as possible will be able to afford them. B, to create a better everyday life for the many people. Which is the mission and which is the vision? So type that in the chat, let's see.
Claudia again says A is the mission and B the vision. Marshall says A the mission and B the vision. Talicia says A mission, B vision. Marianne says B is the vision and A is the mission.
Right, so we have any more?
No, that's it for me.
All right, great. So you're all bright sparks this evening. For IKEA, yes, A is the mission and B is the vision. So it's just to give you an idea of mission and vision statements for some well-known companies. And the same idea can be translated to you forming the mission and the vision statements for your support groups or your clubs. All right. So thanks so much for participating. Next, we look at some facilitation skills. And this topic, this area here, I'm sure our trainers will agree that it can be a whole 3-hour session or more. But we're just going to gloss over, look a little on some essential facilitator skills that you can continue to read up on and you can continue to or try to practice as you go on. Some persons would have already been doing them. Hearing content, listening for feelings. So content meaning exactly what is being said, listening for feelings, how it is that the person, their emotions, what's happening with them. Is the person sad? Is the person happy? Are they excited? Are they feeling as though they're lacking confidence. So you're listening for all of these. Observing body language, right? These are all parts of active listening, by the way. So when we speak of active listening, what is it that we're actually doing? We're looking at all of these and more from the bubbles here. Observing body language. How is the person sitting? How is it that their facial expression, what their facial expressions look like? Neutral technique. For example, with neutral technique, now you are allowing the individual time to process what's happening. So you don't provide a solution when they are sharing. You don't provide an answer when they are sharing, but you allow them in using this particular technique in active listening to share, to listen to themselves, and to process. Paraphrasing. When you're leading maybe a particular discussion, you may want to paraphrase what is said by the group member in order to identify whether you are actually hearing what is being said. Self-awareness, being aware of or being mindful of who you are as an individual. What are your biases? What are your likes and your dislikes? What are you experiencing at the moment? How are you feeling at the moment? And how this could possibly impact the session that you're having. So it's key to be self-aware. Reflection. What you're hearing, you want to be able to say this back to the persons, to know whether it is what you're hearing is what is actually being said. And so these are some skills that are practiced over time. Our trainers, I'm sure, will know that, and some of our facilitators who have been doing facilitation for a while will know that these are things that you keep practicing over time to get better at in terms of active listening. Questioning, asking further questions, asking additional questions, or asking questions based on what is being said in order to recognize or to hear well. Clarifying technique. For the clarifying technique, now you want to further ask persons to ask further questions, allow them to give additional details on what they are sharing about, so that you and the other group members can be very aware or very knowledgeable of what they are saying, and you're not coming up with your own assumptions. And summarizing is a key skill, especially when you're leading the discussion as a facilitator, and when it is that you are the one driving the group at that time. You would want to identify the key points of what the person is saying, and you'd want to be able to put that together to see to allow all group members to see the key points or the key aspects of the discussion or the statements that the person would have been making. So as I said, these all form a part of active listening, and they are skills that you develop over time as you continue to work as a facilitator. You can go online, you can go on YouTube, for example, and look at different groups, and you can observe some of these skills that group members or group leaders and facilitators are demonstrating when they are conducting their groups. That's one of the ways that persons actually start off in terms of learning the skills of active listening and practicing active listening. Now, I want us to look a little on verbal versus nonverbal cues, especially some nonverbal cues. As we'll have people in the group, they may be open or looking defensive, like the picture you're seeing to maybe your left. Openness, where you see how the gentleman is sitting, you see how the lady is sitting, versus being defensive, the folding of the arms, the crossing of the legs. Being expectant versus frustrated. So you see where the person is leaning forward, that is telling you that, you know, I'm interested in what you're saying, I want to hear more. As opposed to, you know, scratching the head, holding down the head, finding every loose thread on the clothes to fiddle with, they're frustrated. Evaluating versus being suspicious. You notice the hands at the cheek, or they're staring you in the eye, they're looking very closely at what you're saying. You're not seeing? Somebody's saying that they're not seeing my screen. Anyone seeing?
No, I'm not seeing the screen. I don't know. Oh.
Yes, I am
Seeing
seeing.
the screen?
What?
Everybody else is seeing the screen? I'm hearing that persons are not seeing.
Yes, I am seeing the screen.
Yes, the
Okay.
screen is okay. Who is
Okay,
not?
all
Oh,
right.
Marianne, I don't know. Are you using your phone or a computer?
No, I am seeing, miss. I was saying I am seeing.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
My phone.
Well, what I'll do is I'm explaining what each image looks like as I go through. So you'll perhaps be able to create that imagery in your mind. All right. Sorry
Okay.
about that though.
Yeah.
Versus being, so I was saying evaluating versus being suspicious, where they're trying to figure out what it is that you're saying, may have the hands at the cheek, maybe staring you in the eye, leaning forward as well, or being very suspicious, leaning back in the chair, that worried, possibly anxious look on the face, self-control versus nervousness. You notice that how the lady is sitting, looking comfortable, gentleman is sitting, looking very comfortable, versus the others who one has the legs crossed, the other with the hands crossed, and possibly shaking the legs or shaking the hands, you know, that will demonstrate some amount of nervous behavior. Readiness versus boredom, similarly with the openness versus defensiveness, and confidence versus insecurity, right? The person sits and has an air of comfort versus insecurity, where they may be looking at all around, shaking, hands at the temple, all of that. All right, so these are just some non-verbal cues, some little things that you can look at in terms of just how people sit, how they look at you, how they interact with you, in order to get an idea of how it is that they're feeling. And these facilitators will give you an idea as to what you need to do in your groups as well. So if you notice that people are feeling a little nervous or looking nervous, looking frustrated, looking suspicious of you, like, I wonder what she's coming with, you can come up with some activities, or even just start with a conversation that will break the ice. All right, and allow people to feel comfortable. So your non-verbal cues, as well as in addition to your verbal cues, will help your group to run smoothly, or identifying them will definitely help your group to run smoothly. What to do in the groups? We want you to encourage discussions, which most times you will plan ahead. Invite speakers. So you add a psychoeducational component. Remember, early on in the presentation, we looked at different types of groups. So we have psychoeducational groups, therapy groups, task groups. So I'm encouraging you to make your groups exciting, and to make your clubs exciting, you can bring the different aspects of group or different types of groups into your support group, but it's done in a controlled way. So for example, you will have 1 week where you do a presentation on a topic. You can have 1 week where you're doing some kind of craft, that will be a task that is being done. The primary aim of the group and the function of the group does not change. The purpose of the group does not change, in that it is a support group, but you are bringing different components to your support group to keep it going, to make it exciting, and to provide that level of support. Fun activities, whether it's trips, watching movies, followed by discussions. One of the things I used to do with support groups is allow the members to come up with what it is that they want to do, what their interests are. Some persons would want to go on trips, and so for each year, it like a trip will be the highlight of the year. So at Christmas time, they will go on a trip, or we'll have a little party, or we can have like a movie afternoon or something that will be fun to everyone, or to most of the persons. Managing difficult conversations is something that you will have to do in the group. When you do this, or when you are doing this, make sure that everyone is comfortable. Be empathetic towards sensitive topics. Give time for people to share, and be non-judgmental in your attitudes. Now, I know that part of this session, I believe, and part of the reason for doing this is that you'll create an outline for your support group, the model that you would hope to use. And I am hoping that the information you would have gotten over the last week to today will be helpful in terms of creating that model that you hope to have. In order to assist you with this, I have some questions. For example, what will be the purpose of my group? How many members will be in the group? What will be your vision? What will be your mission? Will the group have an established lifespan or indefinite lifespan? Will the group be open or closed? Just to point out though that as it relates to your vision and your mission, you can leave that for your first or second meeting so that it can be a collective activity and persons can feel that sense of belonging because they also help to create the mission and the vision of their group, what it is that they're about and where it is that they're heading. I want to thank you so much for listening. And before I go, I want to share a little video I found. I found it very inspiring and very reflective. And I'm hoping that as you watch it, you will also be reflective. So let me just stop sharing that screen and I'm going to share that video before I go. All right, where is it? Please let me know if you're hearing and seeing well.
It's so easy to place people in boxes, drawing lines, creating size.
Is everyone hearing and seeing?
Yes.
Okay, great. Let me start back from the front.
It's so easy to place people in boxes, drawing lines, creating sides. There's us, and there's them. Those we feel comfortable around, and those we don't. There are those of us with many chapters, and those just starting their own stories. There's the well-to-do, and those doing what they can. There are those we share something with, and those we don't seem to share anything with.
Welcome, and thank you for coming today, guys. Today I'm going to be conducting an experiment where I'll ask you a series of questions. Now, these questions will be very personal questions, and for us to get a true result, I need you to be completely honest with how you respond. The first question I have is, who in here was the class clown? Who is never on time?
And then there's us, we who have tattoos. We who feel lonely. We who have been bullied. We who have bullied others. We who are madly in love. We who have overcome great adversity. And there's the lucky ones who whose team won the championship this year. We who beat cancer. And then there's all of us who are created in the image of God. And as one body, we stand together, united as one under His grace.
Okay. Stop sharing. So I wanted to share that video because I found it to be inspiring, and I interpreted it in such a way that in working with our groups, we will have people who are, well, they're all parents, but they will have similarities, they will have differences. People will have shared experiences that they can relate to. At the end of the day, we have to ensure as facilitators that we create that atmosphere of belonging and that atmosphere of support. Don't put people in boxes, just allow them to belong and allow them to feel supported. Thank you so much for listening. Well, I should ask if there are any questions or any comments or just about anything else as I hand over to Ms. Douglas.
Any questions from anyone? I just thought that for me, Sherry, that video was very potent, and it's something maybe that the facilitators can consider using. Creating that atmosphere of belonging and trust and support is so important in spite of diversity and similarities. So, you know, it was a good note to end on. I don't know if anybody else has anything to add or any questions.
Well, I can share it in the group that you created, Ms. Douglas, and persons can feel free to use it or to even model it, meaning you can put your own spin on it as you create your activities.
Any comments? Group members? Facilitators? Have we lost everybody?
No, I'm still here. I'm still here.
All right, Marianne says.
Please send the video in the group. I'd appreciate it very much.
Yes, Miss Coleman says send the video. Marianne says, thanks for sharing, Miss Brown. It really made me self-reflect. Any other comments?
Marianne.
It was a well done presentation, and the video was very inspiring. I love that video very much. Not putting a person in a box. Generally for me, I don't put people in box, but people always tend to put me in a box. So I can understand the feeling. I really like that video.
Thanks, Marshall. And you know that the same as how you would share your experience to say you always feel that you are being put in a box. You can, use these kinds of experiences so persons can relate as you facilitate your groups, and so that they can be able to share their experiences too, and then finding ways of moving away from those feelings as well.
Natoya just shared in the group. She says, thank you, Miss Brown. The video is one that could relate to our parents, as well as most feel that they are boxed in. We like to stereotype, we like to say, that people belong in this particular group, or we like to cast judgments. And so, yeah, the video was really good. I agree, Natoya. And from Samantha, she says, well done presentation, and the video was very inspiring. So you hit the right note, Cherry, as always. Thank you so much. And it's now 7:14. Are there any other comments? Anything that you would like clarity on? Anything else that you want to discuss before we just get into some logistics and mobilization issues, etc.? Are we all good? Can we give
Miss Douglas?
Yes, dear.
Today I was speaking to the parents about the group and all that. So one parent approached me that she was saying if the program was still a 1-year program. So I said yes. So I said that she had concerns. I was asking her what was the problem. She said, sometimes me can't find fear people going on, but me I said to her, I remember you get back your fear. So she said, but if you remember, so me have to be able, but me I say, all do you pay 120, come here, pay 120, come back your walk. Come in the community, you have 260, can buy one last stuff. You better than sit down and not doing anything.
That's exactly.
And she was like, actually, I thought I said to her some most time when me have workshop, I want most time going on. You have the same problem and concern as you, but if you want good, you have to just do what you have to do for your children and yourself.
And I think that's what Miss Brown
charge
is
them
saying.
that this
Share
Saturday
your
each one must bring one.
Yeah, you really have to share your experience and just let people know that you really and truly we're all going through the same type of struggles. It might be at different degrees, but people see you and they see you smiling and laughing and participating in everything, and they think that everything is okay and that you're fine. People always say that to me, and then I say to them, no, this, for example, for me, 2022 has been one of the worst years I've ever experienced. So if you just kind of just share with persons, and persons can empathize with you and relate to you, and then they'll come across and they'll see how beneficial these groups can be and this thing can be. But while you mentioned that, Natoya, was that Natoya or Marshall? I not even realize who, because I stepped off.
It was Natoya. It was Natoya.
Yes, Natoya. While you share that, let me just say that one of the things is that we want to form. I mentioned it in the group earlier. We want to get these clubs. Let me call them clubs. Maybe that is easier for people to relate to. We want to get these support clubs going. The reason is Miss Coleman, Reverend Sterling, Miss Ellis could stand up every Saturday and preach and speak and talk about it. But if we don't get the parents in these smaller groups to talk around their issues, and we can get to delve deeper into some of the problems that they're having, we would not be achieving much. It would just be that we'll be passing through the program, and we would have said we trained 20 people, and that's all we would have done. We would have trained some persons. But the benefit and the outcome in terms of a mindset, a change in mindset, a transformation, really is going to take place with you. And so that's why I'm taking time out for us to meet as a group. And maybe it's going to be a Thursday evening thing every now and then. We'll come together and talk around it, because it is the one-on-one. And when I say one-on-one, the smaller groups that you will convene, that is going to make that change and allow persons to feel supportive and for you to touch the 1 or 2 lives that we need to touch. And so it is very important for us now to get a timetable going as to when we will get these support groups going, our clubs, as I started to call them. So maybe
Ms. Douglas?
Yes, Ms. Coleman. Mm-hmm.
Just to add to that, and that was the one of the main reasons why we started the training with those 2 topics. We want people to know who they are, so that they be able to, they're aware of themselves, their abilities, their strengths, their limitations, and the opportunities that are there, so others can know about what is going on with themselves and others, so that they can help each other, knowing who they are and all of that.
Well said.
First 2 topics are about the parents.
About self, about me. Who am I? You know, where do I fit into all of this? Sometimes I feel overwhelmed. What do I do? Who do I go to? So we need to strengthen the clubs. And so I'm going to ask for the facilitators that were identified. I know Telisa already said that she and Natoya can work on a club over by Hazard. Is that still the plan, Telisa?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Right. So you can bring your parents together in that setting outside of the training, maybe once every 2 weeks. You can look at, well, you have heard the different types of group, but you want to support them. Since COVID, I don't know, but we have been having deaths left, right, and center. Persons are dealing with a lot of trauma and change. And it is very hard to adjust. People are having challenges with their children because the children are no longer accustomed to socializing. And so we need to bring the parents, because maybe them have an idea that we don't have, and we can share it in that group that is going to be a closed space, a safe space, and you can strengthen them. So this is what we want to do. And so who is this? Natoya? Who is talking? Natoya. Yes. I'll pick up the voice quickly. Anyway, yes, so we can set up that schedule and see if we can get those parents together. Marianne, your job is going to be tougher than most because your group is so big. But I think we can start small, start with a few who will come out and start. Maybe we can start, as I said, it's never good to say that this is an opportunity, but here is where we can start with what happened with Cassandra. She's just 50 years old. She's gone. She has left her children and her grandchildren. How can we pull the people together in a group that will support them, give them something to do, let them have a little action plan, say, all right, this day, maybe when they're having the candlelight, the parent support group can go down and do this. Or maybe when they're having the grave digging, this is what we can do, So, maybe if we need to sit with the children and talk them through what are the steps that they need to take because they are young. So that they need to take in terms of moving forward with burial and all of that. So you can really get into things now and start working. For Mapen, I'm going to depend on Natoya and a little bit. So we're going to overlap Natoya and Telesia. For Palmer's Cross, there's Marsha Lee and Samantha. So we can start meeting. And I want, what we would want is for them to be some integration with the PTA. So you encourage them to come out to the PTA meetings, you encourage them to come out to the CDC meetings and strengthen those base organizations as well. Show them that there are opportunities out there, there are groups out there, there are agencies out there who are willing to support. It's just that we don't have a culture of asking for help. It's like, if you go to an agency, something must be wrong with you. So these are opportunities that we need to discuss some more. So one of the things that I want from this meeting, I'll be contacting everybody and we can come up with a schedule of when the support groups will start. You may start small, but the thing is, once it gets going, Miss Coleman just said it, Once it get going and people sharing and they understand what is happening, more persons will come on board. So we want to start those support groups at a key area of reinforcing what is taught in the classrooms on a Saturday. So let's see how we can get that going. And I think that's it for me. In terms of what we will do, we'll continue with our Saturday meetings. I wanted to say to the trainers, if when you're meeting with the parents on a given Saturday and they want to go an extra hour or 2 hours and do another topic or continue on with another topic, you can do that. Just make sure that you have good consensus coming out of the group and including the facilitators. And for the facilitators, you heard it. Miss Brown said it, Sherry said it. Your job on the day is to cater to the needs of the parents. So don't just stand in one place, look around, notice the body languages, look at those persons who need help, go to them gently and sit beside them and encourage them. If they need something, assist them. I aired last week when I said that the facilitation session is 5,000. The facilitation, sorry, not the facilitation, the training session is 2,500 per facilitator. But the club, when you meet in the clubs, it's $500, $5,000. Tired mind. All right, so it's 2,500 for the training sessions where the trainer leads the group and where the facilitator takes over, and you have those club meetings being formed and held. Then it's $5,000 per session. So I hope that is a little clearer to persons. I heard last week when I mentioned the costing. All right, so that is where we are. Any questions? Any thoughts? Anything else that you want to say? Yes.
Yes, Samantha and I actually started a parent support group in Farmers a couple of months ago. Yes, it's called Parents on a Mission Support Group. We meet at same place up by the class school.
Right. But I hear you don't have very, very good attendance. So you need to pull in more people.
Yes, that's what
pull
we
in
need.
The persons from you're in the WhatsApp group, pull them in and tell them that you want to meet. So you want to get them energized. So
yes,
for
Effortville, it's out there.
For Effortville, it's a little sad right now because they'll have to deal with a death. But for you, you can start with just celebrating persons' the birthdays of the parents. Find out when you know, a lot of people don't get a birthday card or a slice of cake, and it's something that the group can coalesce around. A lot of people don't get told that they look good or they, you know, that things are looking good for you today, or there is hope. So you start around those things and you build on it and see how best you can help them as parents, and then start to discuss the bigger, harder issues. Some parents don't know how to support their children with their academic work. They're not at that level. So you can move to that. Some people are having problems with disciplining their child. A number of persons indicated to us when we did our survey that they have problems with money management. And some just say, boy, miss, I'm stressed completely. I have communication issues with my child. So you can start around there and just reinforce what is going to be taught generally by the trainers. And then we move from there. If you recognize that there is someone in the group who will need additional intervention, let us quickly point out that person, not generally in the group, but say to us in the facilitators group here, there is this person who we think needs referral. And then we have the big steering committee. We can use the agencies that we have as well as members of the group here to help them if they need one-on-one counseling and additional support. So identify those things very quickly. But start with the little fun activities and make it very nice, and let's see how well we can get these groups going. And of course, there is something that we need to discuss in terms of anytime you have a parent group meeting, as much as possible. If you're going to have it online, I would have taken the pictures of the persons online, the participants, because that is the evidence that I will show to USAID to say that we had the meeting. If somebody presents, you can take notes, you can have somebody take notes, but be careful of how you take notes in a parent support group, because people might be thinking you're taking up their business outside. You could take notes or record it, or you could ask, if you invite a special presenter to come, you can ask the presenter for a copy of their presentation, so that when we do our reports, we can submit that. Everything for USAID, Positive Pathways, Democracy International, them long name there, is evidence-based. So you have to do that. So that said, we can talk a little bit more. Samantha, your hand is still up. You wanted to say something else?
Good night again, everyone. Two questions. In terms of Farmers Cross group, is it that we're going to split the general group that we have now on Saturdays to form the clubs? Or is it that we're just going to ask persons to join the parent group that we already have present in Farmers Cross? And the other question is,
okay, go ahead.
The other question is, in terms of, say, for instance, we want to do something for the parents, will we get financial support from USAID?
I don't know. Our budget for our budget is very tight in terms of what we can do. So if you're planning an activity, tell me before, and then let me know how far we can go. Our budget is very tight and precise. So you'd have to tell me exactly what you're doing and if I can fit into that. In terms of USAID, there is our program coordinator who I've added to the group, Cheryl Campbell. We can ask them if there's anything additional that they can do, but our budget is very tight and we are trying to keep it tight so that we can have as much activities in the clubs as possible. Little bonding, maybe encouraging little sporting activity, anything that will get the parents to bond together. In terms of your first question, you have a parent group already. So I would say to you, go ahead and add the parents to that group. But when you're meeting together to discuss some issues, you could split the group. So Marshall could take some persons. Talisa might have to take some persons depending on where in Palmer's Cross they come from. And Samantha, you take some persons in a different classroom depending on what issue you're dealing with. So if it is something about raising the awareness of what Ministry of Labor and Social Security does, or PATH, or what the Child Protection and Family Services Agency does, then you could just invite everybody and then they can talk. Or if it is to talk about a disciplinary issue or an issue that you know is burning, or maybe the Cross Primary School has brought something to your, or Azad Primary has brought something to your attention, split the group and you deal with the group in separate group discussions in that case. So I don't know if that answers your question, Samantha, and it makes it easier to create that kind of synergy that you want.
Yes,
it does. All right? Okay.
Yes, it does.
Okay. All right. So let's see how we go. And the other thing is the trainers will give assignments from time to time. So facilitators, I'm going to ask you to remind parents what, maybe even take a picture of the workbook or that you have them. I sent it online. Remind them of the page. Ask them if they want any help. Ask persons. I noticed Palmer's Cross book group is sharing the book lists. So do little things in the group. We are supposed to also post what they call nudges, and nudges are really little tips and bits on how you can, around the different topic areas, and how you can be better parents. So be more active in the group and share little tips on what you can do and so on, and try and connect it. If you notice, I'm trying to do that. but it is really your job as facilitators. Try and connect it to the topic areas and to what's current. So you hear something in the news, something traumatic might have happened over the weekend. Some children were burnt to death and one child is struggling. Say something in the group about that and reassure parents and remind them of safety tips that they need to do, little things like that. So we can talk some more. I don't want to keep us all night, but we can talk some more probably next week, Thursday, and how we can continue. But schedule your meetings and let's see how we can work together and get these clubs going and strengthen these communities. All right. Any other questions? I'm not checking the chat. Anything in chat?
I'm not seeing anything in the chat, Ms. Douglas.
All right.
Nothing new.
All right. Just for the trainers, both trainers and facilitators. I'm being told by the monitoring and evaluation team at Positive Pathways that we need to administer pre and post tests for each major topic area. So for self-concept and self-awareness, we don't really need to administer a test per se. But as you move further into family engagement and so on, we will have to administer a pre and post it. So at the beginning of the session, we have to give them a little test. And what we do normally is read it to them and do little multiple choice and true and false. So we do need to do that. And at the end, and we will also need to do evaluations of the sessions. So I was discussing with Miss Mitchell in the office today, and we're saying there's a nice little way we always just use smiley faces and ask persons to just go up and tick rather than asking persons to write. It might be embarrassing for some of our people and they might just walk out and not fill it out. So we are going to come up with very creative and innovative ways of getting the numbers, because USAID deals with numbers, getting the numbers and getting the measurements, the baseline measurements, and showing the movements in the knowledge of the parents without making them feel uncomfortable. So trainers, we have that to look at. And at the end of each topic, you'll notice Miss Coleman knows more than anything else because she's the creator of the manual. There's a summary at the back of each topic. So you can use the summary. We can use the summary to develop the pre and post this. Not hard. So yes, so that's it for now. Am I forgetting anything? Ladies and gents?
Ms. Douglas?
Yes.
I realize I said something and I need to clarify it, but I'll do it with my parents when I get there on Saturday, God's willing.
Oh, all right. Okay, that's fine. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we do make a little error here or there. No problem.
Yeah, I did.
Apologize.
I did, and I want to do it personally where I can look at them.
Yes, you apologize and you say, "Oh, you're," and you know what? That makes you very.
That was not the intention. That was not the intention.
Yeah.
Yes.
It makes you very human and relatable. If you can't tell them, boy, me never should have said that. Sorry.
Yeah.
So that's really good. So let's see. Now that school has started for some persons, let's see if we get a better attendance. At the end of the day, I say USA just love to play numbers. So let's see if we get better attendance and continue to encourage more persons to come on board and mobilize. We still need 1 or 2 facilitators for Maypen area, but we'll work it out as we go along. And when I say facilitators, I mean the parent support group facilitators or parent support clubs. All right.
Ms. Douglas.
Yes.
Anything with read the space at Bill?
Yes, I'm
improvement.
Yes, I was told that we can use the center. So I'm just to confirm tomorrow and then I'll post it in the group. I did write to Mr. Henry.
Where is the center?
Just right up when you stand at the little classroom, that big wall that you see. There's a big wall. That's where the center is. The football club.
Okay.
And
so it's right beside the school. So it's right beside the school then.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
no problem. No problem.
Right. So
right.
I wrote to the Lions Club, and so far the response has been favorable. What they have told me is that as long as training on a match is not taking place, then we can have the use of the center. Only thing that we might need a table or two, big space with they have 58 chairs there. We might need to take in a table or two for the projector, etc. But you can break up into groups and so on. Yeah.
Right.
So tomorrow I'll just confirm that tomorrow and let everybody know. But the space, the everything remains in place for the other two areas. For lunch, Maypen Primary will do the catering for their lunch, and Cross will do theirs, and so will Effortville Primary. So all the schools will do their own catering now that we have actively started the academic year. All right.
Okay.
All right.
So
man. That said, have a good night. Thank you for attending, everybody. And we didn't make mention of it, but our head of state, our real head of state, who is the Queen of England, of the United Kingdom, has passed. And we should have noted it at the beginning, but it's all said, and we just want to say, may her soul rest in peace. A lot of persons have been passing remarks, but she's somebody's mother and somebody's grandmother, and she served her for a very long time and with dignity. So may her soul rest in peace. That said, everybody, have a good night.